Good evening and welcome to the March 9th council meeting. Members of the public were provided with the following methods to watch and or participate in this open meeting. You can attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex. You can attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township YouTube page. Submit written comments to the clerk's division that were provided to council members and will form part of the public record. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate your participation. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect, that we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and the public with respect and understanding, and inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. Together, we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that is disrespectful, disruptive, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave. I'd now like to call the meeting to order. And can I have the people of the agenda, please, council too?
Moved by myself, second by Council Rowland, that council adopt the March 9th, 2026 council meeting agenda is presented with the following amendments. One, add item 11.2.6, report number CAO 05-2026, Cambridge Aggregates Incorporated. Proposal to increase annual tonnage limit, aggregate license number 60771. And two, add closed item 13.1, report number CAO-06-2026, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, Municipal Act, section 239 SC.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. I'd now like to do the Indigenous Youth Dialogue. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence with the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contribution to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between the Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And it is an interesting path that we're walking into, attempting to walk side by side, trying to make sure that no one group takes advantage of the other, but work in partnership. I think that's what we all have to work towards, is the partnership. And it is an interesting step, but we have to make the step forwards, and we have to be willing to work, but also willing not to be taken advantage of. So let's stop and think about this as we consider this. Thank you. Is there any disclosure between answers to general nature thereof? Seeing none, adoption of the minutes. Oh, not so awesome.
Yeah, giving your interest in closed session.
Okay. So noted. And did you fill out the form? Thank you. Okay, and adoption of the council minutes is Council Rowland, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Tilley, that council approve the following meeting minutes. 6.1, council meeting minutes dated February 23rd, 2026, and 6.2, public planning council meeting minutes dated February 24th, 2026.
Those in favor? Carried, thank you. Can everybody hear me so I don't have to turn my mic on? Rob, do you have plans, can you hear me? Was that intentional?
No.
Okay, and next is presentations. None. Delegations at Jared Valley, Narcotic Contract Committee regarding the status of the contract tender. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Good evening, Mayor Foxton, Township Council. Tonight, I would like to address the major delay in the pump track project request for proposal and tender documents going to market. We're now 4 months behind schedule, and I'd like to know why. So to refresh everyone's memory, September 22nd, 2025, council meeting and staff report for the acceptance of the $200,000 Trillium grant. The report detailed the timeline of mid-November to release the tender documents and have the project awarded in January. Jump ahead to November 24th. I spoke at council meeting for my bi-yearly committee update. And at that point, our fundraising committee had finished our $500,000 fundraising effort. We are looking forward to the tender documents being released in the very near future. Also updated on November 24th that the topographic survey work has commenced and would hopefully be done by the end of the week. Jump up to December, and I began weekly emails to CEO McNeely, bi-weekly, weekly, trying to get updates on where these project tender documents were. December 6th update was 85% of the survey work was done. January 2nd, I mailed all council detailing we're now 2 months behind schedule. January 4th, at the mayor's levy, spoke to a number of members of council and CEO McNeely stressing the need to get the tender documents out. January 13th, update from the township, the engineering is behind on drawings, no timeline update. February 4th, pump track documents have been sort of bumped out due to the 2026 budget work and onboarding of new staff. Another email sent to all the town of council asking for some action on this. And at this point in February, I'm quite concerned that we may not be able to secure a contractor for this build season. As you know, good contractors are busy and build slots fill quickly. Delays also potentially jeopardize our Trillium grant as there are defined timeline requirements. Another point to consider is the delay when the facility will be usable. This delay is a difference between the pump track being usable, rideable in June this year or October or later. We're potentially losing a year of use. We owe it to the donors and the community members to prioritize these next steps. February 22nd, I requested to speak at council the next day. It was too late. I wasn't able to speak. However, I did manage to get a response on the status of the tender documents that they would be released that week or earlier the following week. I asked to review the documents. So a week after that, I got the documents of the scope of work. CEO McNeely and I exchanged some emails working through the details all the way up until today. And I was advised that the documents would go to market Wednesday or Thursday this week. This is great. However, I want to see it happen. So I asked that today that there be a firm commitment to hold that schedule of getting the documents this week. I'd still like to know why we're 4 months behind on this part of the project.
I believe you give an explanation of that. There needed to be boreholes to check the soil in its land, and that because of the weather, it could not happen until they could get to the land.
Well, and-
CEO McNeely, I will let you speak now. CEO McNeely.
So Madam Mayor, through to yourself. Generally, the timeline and the context in which Mr. Bellamy has identified is correct in terms of its chronology. Initial survey work was done in-house by township staff to create a savings by not having to obtain an Ontario land surveyor, so that more money could be redeployed to the construction phase rather than external professional services. You also may recall we had early snowfall, middle of November of significance. And we were then scrambling, dealing with closing out current fall 2025 engineering projects. And we delayed finalizing the topographic survey. And crews or the staff have been out, and we now have that aspect finalized, and it forms a key instrument as part of the description of the work, because it informs individuals bidding on the project that in fact we will what they're working from, so that they can best estimate materials to be imported into the site to shape contours for the pump track, because they've got now a point of reference for which to start. So as Mr. Bellamy has indicated through last week and as recently as this morning, we've gone back and forth on some of the specs. We've tightened up the budget a little bit, which has allocated a few more dollars to the construction phase. In terms of the marketplace, we have the Clyde Park construction project out right now. And we've got in excess of 25 bidders for it. So there remains motivated contractors, and I have confidence that we will get robust bids for this project. And it will be completed before fall of 2026.
Thank you, CEO McNeely. And is it fair to say that if we had sent the bid out earlier without all the details needed, that the number that we would have gotten for the bid would cost would have been a guesstimation because they wouldn't have known the type of ground below? Or you will correct me if I'm wrong.
Madam Mayor, So the initial survey work basically took the tableland area where the vast majority of the pump track is going to be. But to take advantage of the side slopes, both on the east side of the park, but also on the north side, the slope that goes up to the fire hall parking lot. Those are elements that can be incorporated into the feature as part of a design. And those were the aspects that were added after the fact, which would provide more information to a prospective bidder. Because you don't necessarily have to import materials to create those curves, which lowers the amount of material that then has to be imported. Because there's a cost to source material, haul it into the site and reshape it. So that was the information gap. So it allows for a tighter budget. It allows for a more detailed scope of work. Whether or not a bidder going out to the site to familiarize themselves with it would have picked up some of that information just by a site visit is hard to say. But certainly the more clarity, the more direction you provide will allow, generally speaking, a tighter, a more comprehensive bid.
Thank you, Celia. Councilors, any questions? Council Lawson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to CEO McNeely. So where does that leave us now? What's our timeline? What's the game plan? How we're gonna get this done?
So, Madam Mayor, as Mr. Bellamy just indicated in his presentation to council, we will be with the changes that Mr. Bellamy and I agreed to this morning. I have to put those new terms into the scope of the project. That's minor wordsmithing. We then clip it, for lack of a better term, into the front and back end of the bid document, which is a standard boilerplate. And then that gets put into the shared folder, which is then uploaded by finance staff into the bids and tender marketplace for competitive bids. So as we indicated, the intent is by Thursday of this week, that should be finalized, and then it would be whatever the prescribed period is for the bid in the bids and tenders website.
And I'd also like to note that right now, there's not a lot of work for these companies. And so we're getting the best of this bidding because they don't have a lot of work. Because a lot of municipalities and groups are not doing this stuff. So we're very fortunate, even with our bids on the NASDAQ, we got amazing bids. So can I have a motion, please, Council Lawson?
Well, myself, second by Councilor Chili, that the delegation from Jared Bellamy with the North Dumfries Pump Track Committee regarding status of the pump track tender be received with thanks.
All those in favor? Here.
You.
Consent agenda, correct? Next to the consent agenda, reports, well, they're listed there. Anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Councilor Long.
Bill 10.2.1A.
Councilor Rowan.
Article 10.2.2D.
Any others?
So you see,
D is in David. Is that it? So we're. Okay, we'll just cross the room. Perfect. Here. So it's 10.2.1 is crossed out. 10.2.2D is crossed out. So Council Rose, will you please read the motion excluding 10.2.1 and 10.2.2D? Thank you.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Williman, that the following reports listed on the March 9, 2026 consent agenda be received, and the recommendations contained therein be approved and acted upon. 10.1.1 report number FD-03-2026, Fire Department Incident Response Summary, February 2026, and that the following information items as listed on the March 9, 2026 consent agenda be received. 10.2.1 Communications B, correspondence from the Ontario Public Works Association regarding the 2026 AGM election of its executive and board of directors. And C, resolution received from the city of Waterloo regarding the provincial plan for consolidation of Ontario's provincial authorities and conservation authorities. And 10.2.2 advisory committees. A, Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated November 18th, 2025. B, Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated November 20th, 2025. And Graham River Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated January 22, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Let's give us a minute. Well, while she's doing that, why don't we have Council Rooms, you want to start first with 10.2.1? Resolution received from the Township of Southgate regarding support for Bill 21, Protect Our Food Act 2025.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I was just hoping council would be willing to also support that motion. Similar to what we see here from the Township of Southgate. So Bill 21 is about just requiring some additional due diligence from developers before they take over prime agricultural land and turn it into suburbs. So I thought that would be a great thing for us to support. The Ontario agricultural farmers. Ontario Federation of Agriculture also support that, and a number of other organizations as well.
Okay, any discussion? Councilor Goldman.
Madam Mayor, the only concern I have with this is, as we know, the true pressure in North Dumfries Township with regards to our farmland is aggregate, not so much subdivision. So if I had a choice between a subdivision being built against one of our residential areas versus a gravel pit, I think I'd rather have a subdivision. So as much as I support the idea, for me, in the Village of Ayr, as I see all this pressure coming around Ayr, for example, put gravel pits right up against our development. I'm just concerned that this might actually work against us.
CEO McNally.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Rowland, I actually had an opportunity to read Bill 21, and I figured it would be pulled tonight. So this was a private member's bill that was tabled in the legislature in May of 2025. Received first reading and then was directed to committee for second reading. Has not advanced anywhere in second reading. However, one of the key aspects, if the legislation were to be enacted, establishes a food production plan advisory committee. And basically that entity is picked by cabinet and it's made up of a series of community representatives, experts in agriculture, soil science, etc. Anyways, this committee, one of the functions is to establish means, mechanisms, and tools for the consideration of the government to preserve and enhance contiguous and continuous agricultural land for the longer term. Item 6, in terms of their functions and things that to look at, including restriction of aggregate extraction in agricultural areas of the food belt. So it doesn't say that it would preclude it, but there might be criteria depending upon, and I'm just going to surmise, maybe tender fruit and or ag soils rated class 1 or 2 as an example. Whereas today it is allowed to occur as long as there's an effort to rehabilitate back to those lands to restore agricultural value. So it opens the door for the discussion. It doesn't necessarily mean that a new strategy would occur.
So in light of that information, I guess I'll withdraw my comments.
Thank you so much.
And say I support Councilor Rowland.
So how are we going to vote the resolution? You have a suggestion, Kurt?
The township can support the resolution received.
Or do you want to put in our own resolution?
Unless or direction to send it anywhere either.
Similar to, North Dumfries Township, supports Bill 21 to protect our food act. 2025.
I don't mind the resolution as it is written. It looks pretty good to me.
So, the resolution as it's written says resolution received from the township of at Southgate regarding, it doesn't say that we're supporting it or anything else.
So it's like,
So that's
So
why
no,
we-
no, so is it, so therefore, underneath it says there better be resolved, Township Council, of the Township of Southgate, support Bill 21, Protect Our Food Act 2025, and strongly urges the provincial government to support this in every measure to protect our farmland, to aggressively prevent further losses, and to ensure the future of agriculture in Ontario for future generations. I like that.
That's not in ours, so, in this, that we're passing. So can you go ahead?
Yes, for sure. For that, I was just looking at, sorry, Madam Mayor, I was looking at the
The
motion that
actual
was
motion
written.
from them.
Yes.
But not on our agenda,
Yes.
so it needs to be reworded to.
Thank you, yes.
So can you do that, please, and protect? So read it again out loud. Go ahead, Ashley.
Before that the resolution received from the Township of Southgate regarding support for Bill 21, Protect Our Foods Act 2025 be received. And that council support the resolution received from the Township of Southgate.
Well, we wanted to use what Southgate used, so read what they've stated. What Councillor Williams just stated. Councillor Williams, will you do it again, please?
It's in the meeting, page 18 of our PDF.
She's looking at it.
More or less. It's
She's
all the
got
others
it.
in there.
She's got it.
Yeah. Except for not.
that's something.
Something sounds pretty cool.
Can I have a seconder for the motion, please? Councillor Moment. Thank you. Councillor Williams, please.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, just a point of clarification, do we need to receive the
The original?
original?
No, because
Oh,
we're
yeah,
taking you on.
Okay. We never received.
Oh, wait a minute, one moment. See how McNeely's gonna change my mind.
Madam Mayor, yes, we actually have to receive the correspondence because you pulled it from the agenda, and if you
Okay.
don't deal with it, then it's hanging out there. So your first
And we
thing
don't
would
want
be,
anything hanging out there.
you would receive the correspondence from the Township of Southgate, and then you would enact your own resolution as to Township Council's position related to Bill 21, Protect Our Food Act 2025.
We have to go back to the original. You see,
Well, we probably don't need to. And Madam Mayor, one other change, our MPP is Brian Riddell.
Yeah,
And I don't think we need to worry about Senator Rob Black.
true. So. Putting Ashley to the test, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So while she's going back to the original, can we pass this one, or do we have to wait till we pass the original? Oh, okay, there it's there, okay. So. Well, Councillor Williams, Councillor Rowland, secondly, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I move by myself, seconded by Councilor Woolman, that the resolution received from the Township of Southgate regarding support for Bill 21, Protect Our Food Act 2025 be received. And whereas arable land is critical finite resource First, and whereas Ontario loses as much as 319 acres of farmland a day, and whereas Ontario's farmland produces food, fiber, and fuel to all of Ontario and beyond. Now therefore be it resolved, the Council of the Township of North Dumfries support Bill 21, Protect Our Food Act 2025, and strongly urges the provincial government to support this in every measure to protect our farmland, to aggressively prevent further losses, and to ensure the future of agriculture in Ontario for future generations. And that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness, the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, MPP Brian Riddell, the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities in Ontario.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is memorandum for our fellow deputy clerk regarding the Heritage Advisory Committee motion, funding of the Heritage Preserve account. Councilor Norman, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So at the last Heritage Advisory Committee meeting, there was concern about the continued funding of the Heritage Advisory Committee, Heritage Reserve account, essentially. Some committee members raised the issue that they were concerned that if the township withdrew most of the money to pursue Part 4 designation, then there wouldn't be any money left in that reserve. So I was looking for some sort of future commitment, I guess I would say, to continue to fund the Heritage Reserve account. So that would be the 2027 budget process.
Right. That have to be the 2027, which that, so do we know for sure, or have we, it's a guesstimation, how much is in the account?
I believe through you, Madam Mayor, it's 80,000 and change approximately that was set aside for the Part 4 designation project.
Have we estimated what if we think it's going to cost us? Still in the field?
Mayor and Council, 2 meetings ago,
That's what I thought.
authorized expenditures for 2 separate projects, one being the estimate of what we believe to be the number of properties that might migrate toward a Part 4 designation.
Yeah.
And the other was rolling in the Sprague Roads Cultural Heritage Landscape project into the official plan exercise. And we moved funds from 2 different reserve accounts to allow that milestone to occur. Council's already provided that direction, we've adopted. What happens, however, is generally the 2 reserve accounts that have been historically set aside for heritage projects are literally drawn down to a handful of dollars, and I'm talking like literally zero. And so the committee was concerned about future initiatives and the fact that there's now no funds left in the Heritage Reserve account. So they're asking council to start replenishing the Heritage Reserve fund.
Can I ask a question? How much do we spend on grants? 47,000, is it? That would be open grants, the applications, community grants.
Madam Mayor, for calendar year 2026, maybe the allowance set aside for community grant was approximately $48,000.
40,000 even. So do we keep doing adding on extra money? So do we look at our community grants and say, do we want to? What's the thoughts, Ted? I'm just trying to figure out how we can do that. Any suggestions or ideas? Oh, you can't hear? Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm asking how we can look at different ways instead of increasing the budget. And with money from already found, such as the grantings, do we want to take a couple of thousand, or what are the thoughts, folks? Yeah, pick your brains on this. You've got till 2027, Councilor Rollins.
So, I'm okay with us moving this motion as is right now, because it feels like how we're gonna, it just asks for additional funding. It doesn't exactly have how we're gonna do that. I'm wondering if that's a discussion that's better for council that is dealing with the 2027 budget.
Is that already in the motion, the 2027 budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm fine with that, Council. So any other questions in regards to this? Can I have the motion, please, again, Councilor Rowland?
Moved by myself, sent by Councilor Ossner, that the memorandum from Eric Bell, Deputy Clerk, regarding Heritage Advisory Committee motion, the funding of the Heritage Reserve account be received, and that the request from the Heritage Advisory Committee for additional funding in the Heritage Reserve account to be used towards future heritage planning projects be referred to 2027 budget deliberations.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Carrie Griffith, The state is built into that, and that's $4,000, isn't it? No, it's not 1,000.
No, Mayor, it's a percentage of what the trust fund earns in a year, and no, it is less than that.
Okay. But even though it goes to racket, does it end up coming to your? Yes, it does. Thank you. And have you ever thought of asking for donations? Have we ever set up a donation line just for heritage? Because there are individuals that are, you in the we're looking at 2027. Keep that in the back of your mind, that we can ask for donations. All right, we're done with that. And we will move on to. We are on to, I have to find the is done. Report, 11.2.1, report number 0.6, Benedict Denninger's Honorary Preservation Award. Any questions from the public? I guess that's you, Irene. Any questions from members of council? Council Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I really like this idea, and my thought was there are many people who contribute to the community as well that go beyond heritage, and I was just wondering, I think I brought this up a while back, do we want to consider awards for other items as well in the community? Like there's many people who do environmental things or who contribute to their communities in other ways. So I like this idea. I'm just wondering if it looks a little bit strange if we just do heritage.
We used to do it. It was end of council in November. We would have community awards, and I believe there was categories. Chris Page received the first heritage one back in 1989. I don't remember when it kind of dropped, but we used to do it every year at the end of council, so it'd be a 4-year term. And some of the public said, well, why don't you recognize us? Why don't you do this? And, some retired firefighters, some other people said, we serve all the time, So it got to be that way, but does that mean we don't recognize those who still do it quietly on the side, that serve our community and do a lot of work that would fall apart if we didn't have them? I think Councillor Austin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just think that like Ben's passion was heritage preservation, and that was he spent his career being involved in that. I like the idea that it focuses on what his passion was and to honor other people that follow in his footsteps, I think would do him proud.
Council Roman and Council Williams.
I agree. I think, Madam through you, I agree with Councillor Ostner. I think, having worked with Ben, served with Ben on heritage community for a long time, he was definitely heritage minded. So I think it's appropriate that this be in his honor. But I think what Councillor Williams is suggesting is also important. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of people who do volunteer and dedicate their time to the community. So maybe we need to look at some sort of separate, in the future, some sort of separate award. I know you said the Airhead Award, which people found insulting.
Yes.
Didn't really play out the pun that well. But maybe we need to do some sort of township award or something down the road.
C.O. McNally.
So Madam Mayor, if I could, assist council, but also position us for the 2027 budget deliberation. Is 2 things. One, if council's comfortable with setting a work program to look at the Heritage Preservation Award in honor of Mr. Benedict, late Mr. Benninger, the committee could then continue to work on that and return to Township Council. Council may wish to adopt a second resolution, drafting and saying to staff something to the effect that staff prepare for council's consideration a framework of other potential community-wide recognitions for council's review, and we would return back. And we might have something that deals with, sports. You might have something to do with the broader culture portfolio. It could be seniors, whatever. But we would give you some context of some means of providing recognition of organizations or individuals or businesses that excel in those areas. And whether it be for the term of council or be on an annual basis. And then we would sort of establish what that criteria would look like, and council would provide that direction. And then it would inform 27 budget, because obviously then there's, plaques or some sort of award that would have to be generated for the recipients.
Councilors, are you in favor of that? If so, who would like to lead the motion? Councilor Austin? And Councilor Williams, okay, and
Although I have too.
yeah. So, and Ashley will pick that up. While she's doing that, can I, all in favor of the, motion for the Heritage Advisory Committee?
Read it out.
Okay, actually, Councilor Tilly, please.
Moved by myself, second by Council Roman, that CLK report number 04-2026 be received, and that council direct staff in consultation with the Heritage Advisory Committee to develop award criteria, eligibility requirements, and nomination and selection process for proposed honorary Heritage Preservation Award for the council's consideration.
Do we not want to state in the motion the individual? It does not state Ben Benninger.
For the proposed Ben Benninger honorary heritage preservation. Award.
Am I reading the wrong one?
No,
It's not in the motion. So let's change that so that we can have it in the motion, please.
I've read it from.
Yeah.
No.
Or could the new motion
Heritage
of
and-
and the new motion will be introduced on item 12, Mayor Council reported. Or do you normally put it all together?
Well, 11.2.1 is the Ben Benninger honorary preservation award.
Right.
The next one is 11.2.2, Union Black.
Know what I'm saying for the new motion for what Councilor Mullins? Or can that be introduced at 12, or does that have to be introduced now?
I think the Preservation Advisory Committee award should be stating here. That's my opinion. Thoughts, guys?
Well,
Councilor Austin?
I'm just wondering if we're directing staff to come up with other kind of similar type awards, would you introduce that in this, in the report section, or would that be kind of like new business under the council report?
I would think it would go with this one, and then as CEO maybe stated, that staff would look into different categories. Thank you.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I like it about council. We discuss things. People don't just sit there and go yes, no, and then done. I remember talking to someone else, and their council meetings are 15 minutes long. So, it's fine.
Ours would be if we.
I'm gonna separate you two soon.
Michael.
Yeah.
Remember, every time you point the fingers, you point back.
That's very good.
That's the second.
Blaming you.
Thank you. Yes. Council Williams, I have the, Tilly have the first one? Okay.
Thank you. There you go. Do that again, Madam Mayor. Move by myself, second by Councilor Rowland, the CLK report number 04-2026 be received, and that council direct staff in consultation with the Heritage Advisory Committee to develop award criteria, eligibility requirements, and a nomination process for the proposed Benedict Benninger honorary Heritage Preservation Award for council's consideration.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And the next motion, please, is Councilor Austin.
Moved by myself, second by Council Williams, the staff prepare for council's consideration a framework of other potential community recognition awards that could be undertaken for a future council meeting.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. All right. Next, we have report number PD 15/2026, proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 260 Raymond Drive. Any questions from the public? Any questions from council? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please, Councillor Austin, please? Do you have a motion,
Yeah,
Councillor?
I got it. Yeah, sorry, just the way it started off, I thought. it sounded- Okay, so move by myself, second by Councillor Tilly, that PD report number 15/2026 be received. And that bylaw number 3625/26 being a bylaw to further amend general zoning bylaw number 689-83 to establish a site-specific exemption to the Z11 industrial zone for the property municipally known as 260 Wadham Drive to permit a commercial greenhouse operation as an additional use be enacted. And that Township Council is satisfied that the requirements for a public meeting in accordance with subsection 3417 of the Planning Act have been met.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is report number 11.2.3, report number PD 16/2026, approval of the development agreement for the 2026 Reedsville Road file number B-03/25. Rock Lincoln, senior planner, will provide a quick overview of the report. Rob, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just wanted to provide a brief overview tonight of PD report number 16/2026, which is requesting council's approval of the development agreement, which is required to satisfy conditions of consent application B-03/25 for 2026 Reedsville Road, located within the Reedsville settlement area. By way of background, on October 28th, 2025, the Committee of Adjustment granted provisional approval to separate a 1-acre residential lot from the subject property at 2026 Reedsville Road through consent application B-03/25, with a related minor variance application A-09/25 also being approved at that meeting to support the lot creation and development permissions for the proposed severed lot. As part of the consent conditions, the owner was required to enter into a development agreement with the township to address key matters related to the development of the severed lot, such as the location of the proposed driveway, existing structure, and related locations and standards, in addition to grading and drainage. In short, this agreement is intended to ensure that the new lot is developed in accordance with the approved plans that were submitted and reviewed by township staff, and developed in a way that minimizes any impacts to adjacent lands. So the purpose of tonight's report is therefore to have council approve the framework of this development agreement, subject to any minor revisions that may be required by the township's legal counsel and or CAO, and enact the associated authorizing bylaw so that the mayor and clerk are authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the township, which will then allow the township's legal counsel to proceed with registration of the agreement on title. Staff therefore recommend that council receive PD report 16/2026, approve the development agreement framework, and enact the authorizing bylaw. Thank you.
Any questions from the public? Any questions from council? Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Dumfries?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Foster, that PD report number 16/2026 be received. And I council adopt the framework of the development agreement to satisfy conditions imposed on the provisional approval of consent file number B-03/25 for 2026 Reedsville Road, subject to any minor revisions as required by Township Legal Counsel and its Chief Administrative Officer. And that bylaw number 3626/26 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a development agreement between Edmund Hesling and Janet Hesling and the township be enacted.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is report number 11.2.4, report number PW 04/2026 OSIM inspections for municipal bridges and culverts larger than 3 meters. Any public, any questions? Councilors, any questions? Councilor Lawler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the CAO, I'm just curious about the pricing on this. We budgeted 40,000, we approved 13,000 with a contingency of 10,000. Numbers kind of all over the map, so I still understand. Is this $23,000 project or $40,000 project or $13,000 project?
CEO McNeely.
So Madam Mayor, through to Captain Nolan. It was approved in the budget for approximately $40,000. My staff has identified Safra as a sole source, and their bid for $13,000 is because they've largely done the work on our major bridge systems in 2025. So we have I'm going to call it the value of the savings of work that they undertook in 2025. It'll obviously inform their work for 2026. And they're actually doing the design drawings and permit approvals for the Piper Street and the Jedburgh Dam structures in 2026 under a separate award that's been previously commissioned. So they're able to get value added on their historic work. They were the designer for the footbridge, which is out in the marketplace right now for competitive bids. So we're getting the value of that. My staff has asked for a contingency allowance of $10,000 is because we tuned into the scope of work. They are aware of it, but it's the Nithvale Bridge as well as the pedestrian bridge over Watson Pond. And so while it's part of their scope of work, we believe that there may be some additional work that they may request to ensure robust reporting on those two additional bridge structures.
Thank you. Any other question? Now I have the motion, please, Councillor Tierney.
Moved by myself, second by Council Roman, that PW report number 04/2026 be received. And then council adopt a sole source purchase of the 2026 OSIM inspection service and provide this exemption from the standard practices to acquire a good or service as set out by the purchasing bylaw number 3265-41. And that SAPA Engineering Incorporated be retained to undertake the 2026 OSIM inspection for the municipal bridges and culverts larger than 3 meters with a price of $13,500 plus HST. And then a contingency of $10,000 plus HST be approved for the project work. And that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign all necessary documents to complete the work. And then staff return in 2026 with the completed report for the 2026 OSIM inspections.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is 11.2.5, report number 01/2026, proposed partnership agreement renewal, outdoor sand volleyball courts at the North Dumfries Junior Complex, Scorpion Youth Volleyball Inc. Speak from the public. Councilors, any questions? I'd like to say that Kelly, our staff did a great job working with them, and they were quite pleased with how everything came out. Can I have a motion, please, Councillor Roman?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Ossner, that rec report number 01/2026 be received. And that council authorizes the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement on behalf of the township with Scorpions Youth Volleyball Inc. as set on the attachment number 2 to this report, with any minor revisions as may be required by township legal counsel and or chief administrative officer.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is report number CAO 05/2026, David Jacobi Inc. Proposal to increase annual tonnage limit, aggregate license number 60771. And it was added as an addendum. Many members of the public wish to speak. Councilors. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was hoping for a clarification question from you through you to staff. It seems like we agreed to this proposal not that long ago. Is this normal practice that aggregates will make these kind of others? This is like 50% increase to what we agreed with them. That's the initial proposal and the initial agreement. Is this a normal practice that within like a year or so that they're back doing this? And secondly, is this like the only thing that they need to make allow this to happen is an updated traffic report? Like, I shouldn't there be best impact noise studies as well?
CEO McNeely.
So Madam Mayor, through you to Councillor Williams, just for clarity, this site was actually licensed and approved in 2012, 2013.
Oh.
The road crossing agreement, which was to facilitate the last phases, was entertained by council in 2024. but the actual approvals for the license and the tonnage limit was established with the original license over a decade ago. As recently as this afternoon, I started to get responses back from the planning consultant for Cambridge Aggregates Inc. And they had clarified the extent of the request for the additional aggregate tonnage. They are not seeking an increase as it affects the south property. So that's phases 5 and 6, which are currently under extraction and are part of the Alps Road haul route. What they're seeking, and they'll be clarifying this in writing, is that they're seeking an amendment as it affects the north property. So the majority of which has been already extracted, and aspects are actually undergoing rehabilitation as we speak. That's where the processing yard and operations yard is located. And I guess they've been successful in the marketplace, and they're seeking a permission to haul off of the north property an additional 500,000 tons in the calendar year. So it's not going to actually create more dust, it's not going to create more noise, it's not going to affect the Alps Road crossing. However, technically under the license to move upwards of 1.5 million tons, if the ministry was to grant the request, does require an amendment to their operational license. And they would be continue to use the haul road through the interior of the property to Cedar Creek Road. So I'll be asking for them to actually clarify it in writing, because currently, we can see from the attachment, it talks about the licensed property, which means both sides of the road. The consultant did clarify in the email that they're only seeking the amendment to be on the north side of the property. So it would be my intent to return to the April 13th council, which is your next council meeting, with that clarity, so that council can then assess the appropriateness of a comment back to the Ministry of Natural Resources. We are only a commenting agency. The actual decision on the merits of the amendment request rests with the ministry itself.
So before I go to Councilor Rowland, a quick question, see on the feeling is, would we defer this then? Because if we pass this, then we haven't got the clarification.
So, Madam Mayor, the resolution that's in front of council remains valid. I've asked that it be deferred to allow for that information, whatever it might be, to be furnished to us. I just don't want to lose the March 19th window time. So if council adopts this, we're basically saying we're seeking more information. We ask that it be deferred so that we can undertake that analysis. There may or may not be a need to do a traffic report if the understanding, as communicated to me late this afternoon, is consistent. Then it is really more clarity in our direction in terms of commenting that it would only apply to the north property, north of the Alps Road corridor.
So if I understand you, we should possibly defer this. Councilors? But you said to March 19th, or you want us to pass?
We're approving to defer.
Madam Mayor, I'm asking you adopt the resolution, which is asking the minister to defer a decision until we get information.
Not to render a decision on it. Okay, understood. Thank you. Any other questions, Councilor Rowland?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm just confused, like, following Councilor Williams' question to the CEO. I guess we're trying to figure out, will there be additional truck movements? Will there be additional pressure put on Alps Road and Sprague's Road in light of the fact that they just have this Alps Road crossing agreement in place, and now they're going to increase the number of truck movements, I would assume, to facilitate this increase in tonnage. So I'm just wondering how these two things work hand in hand. I guess that's the question staff are going to be asking.
CEO McNeil.
So, Madam Mayor, for the license number 60771, which is what is been sought as an amendment, does not have any interface with Sprague's Road. There are no driveway connections onto Sprague's Road. Shown in the attachment to the staff report, and I'm looking at the operational plan. you can see the property. There's the north property where the majority of the historic aggregates were extracted. And then you've got phases 5 and 6, which were south of the Alps Road. There is a haul route that takes the extraction of materials in phases 5 and 6 that are situated south of Alps Road, across Alps Road to the processing yard. The consultant has communicated to me today in email that that's not their intent to have the increased tonnage request applied to the south side of the road. As such, it would not interfere with or increase traffic movements across Alps Road, because we already modeled it at 1 million tons on an annual basis. What they're clarifying is the ask for the additional 500,000 ton allowance only applied to the north property. It has its exit route to Cedar Creek Road. And they have a large amount of material stockpiled on the north side of the road, but to physically have material leave the property, they're bound by the 1 million ton allowance. And so they'll be clarifying the increase only applies to the north lands. Okay, so there is no impact on Sprague's Road. There is no impact on the Alps Road crossing with that clarity.
Councillor Tilly.
So, thank you, and just to you, Madam Mayor, just to staff. So my understanding is then we will have an opportunity to see this again after it goes. Okay, that was my question. I got a nice nod, so good.
CEO McNary.
So, Madam Mayor, if council adopts the resolution as presented in this report, you're basically asking the minister to defer a decision on the amendment request because the public commenting period lapses on March 19th. I do not have in full letterhead clarity the information that was shared with me today. I would be returning at your next council meeting on the 13th of April with that clarity, and there will be a new staff report that speaks to those realities and what the implications would be, and a course of action for council's consideration. This just protects your ability to comment. It's asking the minister not to advance a decision until you get further information, or in this case, clarification. North side of the road versus the south side of the road.
Councillor Rose.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just one question, just for my personal clarification, through you to staff, is would this be then, if this goes forward, is this a permanent extension? So from now on, they would be able to move 1.5 million tons from the north side in perpetuity?
So, Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Wills. I believe, and this will be truthed out in the following correspondence from the consultant, that there's actually less than about 600,000 tons of aggregate left south of Alps Road.
Right.
So there's not that much material left. They're actually starting to strip phase 6, as shown on the operational plan that's included as a. The north side of the property, there's been significant portions that have already started to undergo rehabilitation. There is not that much aggregate left on the property, period, north or south side. So they appear to have sales, including to one of their subsidiary companies for the 26 marketplace. And so they're seeking that increase. There is not many years left of operation on this license.
Thank you, Mr. Westwood. Anyways, one final question, CEO McNary, if I don't. So what if the ministry doesn't get it back to us by the date? What if, or they turn us down?
Well, the minister is the light granting authority under the Aggregate Resources Act. We have been provided an opportunity to comment. There was questions asked when we were notified of the amendment request. Pieces of information were furnished today in an email. I want to see clarity and consistency in terms of that information, and then I can report back. we would, if council adopts this resolution, advise the ministry accordingly. And that we anticipate follow up following the April 13th meeting as to the position of township council on the merits of the application. It's premature, given the fluidity of the information we've been working from.
Thank you. Any other questions, council? Motion, please, council Austin.
Moved by myself, second by Council Williams, that CAO report number 05-2026 be received, and that council requests the Ministry of Natural Resources to extend the timeline to receive comments on the proposed increase in the annual tonnage allowance for the Cambridge Aggregates Inc. license number 60771 property until such time as the township has received information from the proponent related to potential transportation impacts on the Alps Road crossing. And that council requests that the ministry not render a decision on this application to amend the site plan for Cambridge Aggregates Inc. license 60771 until the township has had the opportunity to have a peer review of the traffic related matters as its relationship to the Alps Road crossing agreement undertaken. And that staff be directed to submit this resolution to the Ministry of Natural Resources on this amendment request as filed by Cambridge Aggregates Inc.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. So nothing on mayors and councilors items. We're now going to go into closed session. Councilor Williams, the motion going to close, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Tilly, that council move into a closed meeting session at 7:01 PM pursuant to the Municipal Act sections 2392 to discuss closed session report number CAO-06-2026, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, Municipal Act section 239 SC.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Somebody in my family.
I wouldn't.
Would you? Yeah.
What 10 years? When I started. They're so crazy.
Can we start now?
Yeah, we're.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Tilly, motion, please.
Moved by myself, second by Council Roman, that council reconvene into open session at 7:32 PM.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Reporting out of closed, council received CAO report number 06-2026 with the discussion. Direction was provided to the chief administrative officer to pursue continuing discussions on a potential acquisition of land. A future report to council in closed session will be undertaken on potential outcomes or the next steps. Thank you. Next, we have moving of the bylaws, Councilor Williams, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Wilms, that the following bylaws be read first and second time, 17.1, bylaw number 3625-26, being a bylaw to further amend general zoning bylaw number 689-83 to establish a site-specific exemption to the Z1 industrial zone, the property known as 260 Wadham Drive, to permit commercial greenhouse operation use. 17.2, bylaw number 3626-26, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a development agreement between Edwin Hesselink and Janet Hesselink at the Township of North Dumfries to facilitate the development of a new lot at 2026 Reedsville Road in the Township of North Dumfries. And 17.3, bylaw number 3627-26, being a bylaw to permit proceedings of council on March 9th, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And the children's reading the bylaws.
Moved by myself, second by Council Roman, that bylaw numbers 3625-26, 3626-26, 3627-26 be read a third and final time and be signed, sealed by the mayor and clerk.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And Council Ramsey, adjournment, please.
Moved by myself, second by Council Tilly, that whereas business before this council meeting has been completed at 7:34 p.m. and be resolved that this meeting adjourns.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you.